Hey, I'm JD. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and please hit like. I've got a little bit of a different video for you today, and what we're looking at on the right hand side is a platform balance for a carriage clock. So this is an old British carriage clock that used to dangle in carriages. They usually were in a leather pouch and they look something like this. This is a carriage clock. I'm not sure if you've ever seen one of these, but they're gorgeous little old clocks. And they're glass on the sides and glass on the top, and there's a winding mechanism. I threw the key in there. But if you look at the top of this clock, you'll see the balance just ticking away, minding its own business. So this balance is intended to run only in this position, not sideways at all. These carriage clocks used to hang from the carriage as the carriage was going cross country, and they were done, I believe Napoleon was the guy who caused the time and clock industry to make one of these things so all his generals could coordinate their attacks. So these are beautiful carriage clock. This is a Mappin and Webb carriage clock I picked up a few years back. Just a really nice carriage clock. So here's the challenge. So the challenge is this platform balance here. Not a lot of people can do work on these platform balances. I'm getting called on to make new pivots, usually lower end balance pivots. This one in fact has a broken upper pivot, I believe, but I'll be able to explain what I intend to do. So what I intend to do is make a jig for this thing to enable me to test the platform balance. I was thinking about this. All I need to do, there's a large pinion on the back side of this platform balance right there. So that large pinion is driven by another gear on the side, and I can show you that on my other platform balance. I'll get a good zoom in on that. Now if you look at the center of the video, you'll see how that gear that looks like it's vertical is driving that pinion. So it's driving the pinion, which is driving the escape wheel, which is driving the pallet fork, which is driving the impulse jewel, which is driving the balance. So you can see it operating there, and I'll just see if I can get a different view here. And in this view you can kind of see it all in operation. Sorry about the floatiness of this view, but you can see it in operation right there, driving the escape wheel, driving the pallet fork, driving the balance. You can even see the impulse jewel there. So that's a pretty cool video there. So good shot. So my challenge is to develop some kind of a jig that would run that escape wheel. And I was thinking, if I put a little pressure on that wheel from my finger, would that make the balance run? So I just put a little pressure from my finger on the bottom, riding down like that, and then take the balance and swing it and see if that runs. And it does. And that's just my finger along the side of that pinion, giving it some power. So I was thinking, again, I got to stop thinking. It's dangerous for me, right? Let me see if I can get this started again. There we go. So I was thinking, can I build some kind of a jig that would run this thing? And I've got to make sure that I've got to consider a couple of factors. The first factor is on each one of these platform balances, you're not sure of the distance between the wheel here and the balance. That's a distance you have to consider. If I drill a hole into anything of this size or a little bit bigger, there's no problem. So that'll fit in any kind of a hole. Or if I drill a quarter or a half slot, then this thing would be backed into that half slot, and that would expose the gears on this side. So I'll show you what my initial design is. You guys can comment on it or tell me whether there's already a jig built for this thing for testing. Alrighty then, so here's my design. So here's the platform balance in black here. So this is what it kind of looks like. This is the balance cock here with the screw that holds the balance cock in place with the large brass, I'm thinking platform. I don't think that's copper, I think that's brass. There's the balance wheel there, and the hairspring over here, the roller table, the impulse jewel, the pallet fork, and then the pallet fork leading to the here we have the escapement wheel here, and there we have the pinion here. So what I was thinking is what I could do, and I've got clamps here, so I would have free-form clamps that could basically hold this in place right? And I could have that move because this balance, this platform balance may be wider or more narrow or whatever, but I need it clamped down. Then I would have this, once I've got it clamped down, this could just hang free, or like I said before, I could do a half moon here and have this sort of go into the half moon for stability, one or the other. And then this, I put this as all would be aluminum. Hopefully AL is aluminum, but anyway. So I got to go look at my periodic table. So this is aluminum, so I could cut this out of aluminum without a problem. And then this would hang down. And so here's what I would do. I would take a shaft, and this would be a rubber wheel. So the rubber wheel would have to be large enough in diameter, right, to touch put some pressure on this, but not so much pressure as I would break the pivots or do that sort of thing. So I could have a rubber wheel. I'm not sure what the number of leaves are on each pinion in a platform balance. Are they consistent? Is it the same leaf configuration? Because if it is, then I could use a gear here versus a rubber wheel. But I was thinking that if I have this rubber wheel here, these are my fingers, this could be finger driven with a rubber wheel. And you could figure out one way of moving this rubber wheel back and forth for the distancing here. Or you could simply use the clamps and move this platform balance back and forth and have the rubber wheel be clamped into the jig. So it never moves, but the balance moves back and forth until it barely touches this rubber wheel. That might be a better design than trying to rock this thing back and forth. So it's either a gear or a rubber wheel. And if it's a gear, I'd have to look at platform balances and see if they all kind of have the same amount of pinions and radius and everything else to run it with a gear. And maybe there's only a few different gears I have to have. So given that, I would be able to do work on the balance. And I've done work on the balance. I've done work on the escape wheel with the pinion before. I've repivoted that as well on both sides, as a matter of fact. And I'd be able to test this thing before it's returned to the clockmaker who's doing work on the overall clock. That's my issue here, because I'm having one return today that I believe I've got to peel off more material on the lower pivot here, because I think that it's causing too much friction. There's not enough free play, which means I have to strip this whole thing down again and put it in my lathe again, and then do probably about an hour, half an hour to an hour's worth of work on that lower pivot, and then hope it works properly. So, and you don't know whether it's going to work properly until you've actually put it back into the clock. So there's the challenge. Will this design actually work? I don't know. I love your comments. I do not. I'm not a Rockport guy, but I believe I bought their shoes before, so that's why I've got this little pad here. They gave me a little tiny writing pad for buying a very expensive pair of shoes. So I'm just going to blacken that out as though it's kind of advertising they shouldn't get. But their shoes are pretty good. So that's it. So that's the question. The jig for the platform balance, it's going to take a while to build a jig like this. It's not easy to just put a jig like this together. The design is fairly simple, so I should be able to do that. And I could actually sell these jigs to any clock watchmakers that want to use them. I wouldn't make much money on selling these jigs, and it would probably take me way more time to make one than to actually the money taken to sell it. So it's just for me for now, and I'd love your comments back on this. So let's see what kind of intel I get. A lot of smart people out there that subscribe to my channel. I get a lot of really good comments, smart watchmakers. So give me your opinion. It's too bad I didn't take mechanical engineering. I did that for 3 years of general engineering, and then I went into electrical engineering. So I should have taken mechanical. Turns out that would have been more useful in the future. Thanks a lot, JD. Please subscribe. Please hit like.